much. Thank you for coming. I'm Stewart Lee. Later on I'm going to be talking to you about how my tragic and ultimately fatal addiction to various forms of lethal, illegal, Class A drugs has helped me to overcome my previous dependence on born-again Christianity. An old joke there, which is normally received better than that. One of the problems with doing telly now is it's not just enough to make a programme. People always go, will there be any extra content for the red button?
Well, yeah, there will actually. I've invited some people I think are good to do their thing in the name of content. There's stand-up from Paul Sinha. Number one in a field of one, Andrew O'Neill. I'm going to sing a song with the help of ace musician Nick Pinn. You're going to be excited by some free improvisation. And there's a fictional character who's got the same face as Kevin Eldon.
It's a non-stop flow of content. Actually, but before we sort of understood the idea of mobile phone content and all that kind of stuff, I got a text about 3 years ago from from some Irish. I don't even know what it was. Someone, you're about to appear at an Irish comedy festival. We are a content provider. We would like some content from you, and I just couldn't even begin to understand what it was actually about. And I thought, oh no. And then in the end, after a massive exchange of emails, I worked out I'm a content provider as a comedian. I generate content, and the content is used to fill content containing spaces. And such a different situation from 20 years ago, and we dreamed of being artists. Anyway, some more content coming your way now. From one of my favourite comics who always does a brilliant new show every year in Edinburgh. Will you please welcome Paul Sinha?
Hello, good evening, pleasure to be here. Allow me to introduce myself, Paul Sinha, British Asian, openly gay man, qualified GP, and Britain's 22nd ranked quizzer. Oh yes, living the dream. Don't mock it. It's opened up a new world about all kinds of people, from civil servants to retired civil servants. It's been a very exciting experience. But as a result of my relentless box ticking, ladies and gentlemen, I'm something of a go-to person on the radio when they want somebody from an ethnic minority to discuss issues affecting that minority. It's always the radio. It is never the telly. I had one TV producer describe my face as a bit too hijacky for telly. That was a new low, I don't mind telling you, but it was on one such occasion, let me tell you now, that the BBC World Service rang me up out of the blue to ask me if I would like to take part in a debate entitled, "Is it okay to do jokes about Islam?" I am an odd choice for this debate, not least because I'm not a Muslim. Anybody wondering? I'm a Hindu. Does anybody remember us? Flying monkeys, women with 25 arms. Would you believe in the last decade we've turned into the joke religion? Nobody takes us seriously. You try going out there waging war against the West in the name of Ganesh, the elephant god. People just piss themselves laughing. But let me tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, Ganesh is going to get you. It's the trunk. You watch out. Don't leave your peanuts unguarded. That's all I'm saying. But as a result of not being a Muslim, I didn't know much about the religion. For years, all I knew before I started quizzing is there were two branches to Islam, Sunni and Shia, and back in the 60s, they had a hit with I Got You, Babe. That was pretty much all I knew. Oh yes, I've got puns. And as a result of that, I didn't really do jokes about Islam. I did once, dabbled, 2006, during the Danish cartoon protest. I had the following joke. I said, I cannot believe that anyone could get that angry about a cartoon. And then I remembered how I felt when they gave Scooby-Doo a nephew. Now that was a joke. That was a joke. I'm glad you liked the joke. It was one of my favourites. But then it got nicked. It travelled across cyberspace, always with my name next to it. And as a result, I received 17 separate death threats from a shadowy organisation called the Scrappy-Doo Appreciation Society. It was a very stressful time for all concerned. They're pure evil, don't touch it. But anyway, at no stage did I think I was the right person to take part in this debate, but hefty appearance fee, I was there like a shot. And in the studio were the following people. Seat number one, a Muslim comedian. Seat number two, a professor of Islamic studies at Glasgow University. Seat number three, a Christian journalist. And seat number four, me. And we all agreed, of course, do jokes about absolutely anything you like. Lovely conversation, shit radio. So to spice things up, in seat number 5, they'd gone and invited one of Britain's best-known Islamic extremists. His name is Anjem Chowdhury. He's head of a now banned organisation called Islam for UK. He's the man who first came to my attention by announcing to the press that Peter Mandelson should be stoned to death for being gay. No, Anjem, that's not the reason. And the BBC... The BBC thought this was the right man to bring to a debate about stand-up comedy. Well, what was his take? Was he a Stewart Lee fan? Did he prefer the madcap physicality of Lee Evans? This was his take. Number 1, comedy is an abomination. Number 2, no jokes about Islam. And number 3, and this was my favourite, all comedy clubs should be demolished as they are places where men and women mingle openly. Now, I know what I wanted to say at this point. Anjem, have I got a treat for you? If your definition of a good night out is that men and women don't mingle at all, come to some of my clubs. You'll fucking love it. My treat, we'll fly to Amsterdam this weekend. I'll take you around. I know there's a great little bar called the Cock Ring, and you'll love it there. Because once you're in, so to speak, once you're in, you'll not meet a single woman. And what's more, we have dungeons and caves. As far as the eye can see, you will feel perfectly at home. I didn't say that. I mean, I wish I had. But number 1, I'm afraid. And number 2, I'm utterly confused. Who invited this fuckwit into a live debate about stand-up comedy? Imagine watching a Chelsea Premier League game and the commentators going, Didier Drogba, why is he out of form? We'll be discussing it with the Grand Wizard of the Kentucky chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. Be a ridiculous idea. You cannot get Americans talking about football. But the second thing I felt was terror, and this was the overwhelming emotion. And so I just didn't know what to say. Then, a twist of fate. The guy hosting the debate goes, and we'll be back after the news. But before then, a track, Bonnie Tyler holding out for a hero. And suddenly, the dulcet Welsh tones of 80s pop diva Bonnie Tyler came sailing over the airwaves. Where have all the good men gone? And where are all the gods? Where's the streetwise Hercules to fight the rising gods? He's leaving, that's where he's gone. And I was listening to these lyrics thinking, this is weird. Bonnie wants me to be a hero. And confidence came flooding back to me. And live on the radio, I turned to my nemesis sat next to me and said, Anjem, do you know what? I live in Britain. It's a multicultural democracy. I won't be bullied by the likes of you as to what I can and can't say on stage. And then I shat myself. But it's fair to say there is a good and a bad kind of shitting yourself. There is the bad kind, like actually shitting yourself. That is one school trip to London Zoo that I won't forget in a hurry. And in my defence, I was only 9 years old, and I'd never seen a penguin. And then... well, they're not natural, I think we'll all agree on that. Birds that can't fly. But then there is the good sort of shitting yourself, the bungee jump, the roller coaster, the parachute jump, that moment that meow meow first kicks in. And that's exactly... yeah, me a GP, I know. That's exactly how I felt at this point. It felt amazing to talk back to a twat.
Did I read you were on with Jim Davidson somewhere recently, or...?
I wasn't on with Jim Davidson.
Right.
It was an odd thing. I was doing the Cutting Edge show, the topical comedy show at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And Jim Davidson came into the audience.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
If you're on stage, your eyes are kind of trying to look at Jim Davidson and see whether he's finding any of it funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And having found the whole show funny and having come and chat to us all afterwards and tell us all that he found the whole show funny, he then proceeded to blog about the whole thing where he called us, and in inverted commas, a bunch of jealous socialist wankers and described me as an Indian puff.
An Indian puff?
An Indian puff, yes.
Have you realised what a good title that is for a show yet?
Believe me. Believe me, I have.
Moving swiftly on, we please welcome my second guest tonight. He may be the only example working on the comedy circuit of what he is. Will you please welcome the occult comedian Andrew O'Neill. Good evening. Are you well?
Yes, silently, okay, fine. Good evening, I bought a bus and I painted it black, and now the bus gets hot in the summer. Hot bus, why did you paint the bus black? Hot bus, I just had a lot of black paint. Hot bus, have you come to regret that decision? Hot bus, yes, particularly when it's sunny. Thank you very much. Lovely song there, get us going. Song about regret. So, good evening, what the fuck are you wearing? Weirdo. So good evening, shriddly-ba-ba-ba-doo-ba-ba-doo-ba-ba-doo-ba-ba-ba, 400 yards, turn left. Shriddly-ba-da, 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 take the roundabout, third exit, shoot-do-ba-ba-doo-ba, turn round where possible. Scat-nav. Good evening, welcome. Quite a lot of what I say on stage doesn't make sense. Do relax. Let it wash over you like jazz. Basically, there are no hooks. So, how you doing? Are you well? Yeah, Abu Hamza, hey? I got him. He is in prison, but he does still pose a threat. That's one of the messages of my show. One of my impressions as well. Pretty good, isn't it? Abu Hamza. I've got the one eye. I've got the hook. I don't know why I do the leg. Abu Hamza himself doesn't do the leg. There's no evidence of Abu Hamza doing the leg, but I feel without the leg, the impression lacks a certain pizzazz. I mean, that's flat and boring, isn't it? I mean, that's... No one's interested in that. You can feel the disappointment washing over the room. All of a sudden, I throw the leg in, and hey! The weekend starts here, so... It's one of my impressions. I mainly do evil men. Who's that? Hitler? No, Robert Mugabe. Miniature Robert Mugabe, where did you come from? Who made you miniature Robert Mugabe? Making me vote in your miniature election, yeah!
In the Fringe in Edinburgh, like either last year or the year before, Scott, the guy from the New Zealand Comedy Festival, he said, I've asked Andrew O'Neill to come over to Auckland. I went, why have you done that? And he said, well, first of all, I thought his show was really good. And secondly, he said, there aren't any other transvestite, occultist, black metal stand-ups in New Zealand.
That was true then. Having been out there, I've got there's a guy who covers my material.
Is there? Are you all right about that?
Yeah, you know, there's not much else to make it. There's no real heavy industry in Auckland.
So a lot of people ask comedians, where do you get your material from? Now, for most comedians, that's a simple matter of observing everyday life and turning those observations into comedy material. Some comedians get some other funnier comedians to write their material for them, and they go on to great fame and success. I get my material directly from Satan. Yeah, so the devil's got the best tunes, don't they? He's got some fine jokes as well. Onion books! Read them and weep. One of his. What do you get? The man who has everything. Turns out the answer is spares. Another one of Satan's jokes. That's very much the lighter end of Satan's material. There's a lot of angry Jesus-based stuff. Why did Jesus cross the road? Because he's the bastard son of a whore! Tell her to leave that stuff out. I did consider selling my soul to Satan in exchange for fame and fortune, but he already has Jack Whitehall's. So that was unnecessary. Now, you may well have noticed by this point in the show, ladies and gents, that I am dressed a bit like a girl. Well done. The reason I'm dressed a bit like a girl is I'm a transvestite, and that is the minimum requirement. You've got to do the dressing thing, otherwise it doesn't count. There's no theory exam. People assume I'm gay because I cross-dress, and I'm not gay. I'm actually ridiculously heterosexual. So, ladies, if you're bored of knowing where your clothes are... the Gok one you can take home. If you like, we'll have a gossip, share a bottle of wine, then I'll take you roughly up the shops. Now, I cross-dress more than I used to. I have recently joined the Union of Transvestites, and you do have to cross-dress 3 days out of the 7. So I get a day off tomorrow. And I'm a postmodern transvestite. I'm aware of the fact that I have a man's face and body, and I factor that in. I don't try and pass for female because I know I can't. I do have an Adam's apple that makes it look a bit like I'm trying to swallow a crow. So it's a more androgynous look. But because it's more androgynous, people never know quite how to take it. Because, you know, when you go to a shop or a bar, they'll call you mate or madam or sir or love will be a gendered word. With me, they never know quite which one to pick. You know, they sort of go, there you go. And there's an awkward bit. And in order to kind of diffuse that tension, show them that I identify as male, quite happy being a guy, quite a big fan of my penis, I'm not getting rid of that. I basically bloke up. I basically become the most cockney man in the world. All right, mate, just a couple of these, please. Leave it out. Shiny sixpence are in it for you if you wrap them up. Meanwhile, I'll be rolling out the barrel down aisle 3. Lovely, I might be a tranny. I'm also a geezer. I find that works. I was in a bar a little while ago, and I was cross-dressed, and I went up to a bloke working there and went, "Excuse me, mate, where's the toilet?" And he went, Gents is that way, ladies is that way. Wicked, most diplomatic man in the world. I would have given him a hug, but he was clearly already outside of his comfort zone. So, shopping, killing and stealing, the 3 main types of spree. Fish, iron and war, the 3 main types of monger. And the main ones. Now, I could have been a towel, but I was harvested too soon. Hear the lament of the flannel.
Now, when I started doing stand-up, I was a massive comedy fan. So I loved Monty Python. I loved Bill Bailey, Harry Hill.
Yeah.
You know, definite big influence. Really liked Eddie Izzard. But I also really loved Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
So if I really love Harry Hill and I really love Bill Hicks, how's that going to work out in my
You do
stand-up?
stuff that's a bit like them, but just next to each other.
So I literally went, I don't really know what style I want to do. All right, I'll do all of them.
In October, I wrote a topical, funny song for this series. But by this week, when we came to record it, the producer said it was too out of date now to do. But it's all content. So we're going to do it now for a Red Button Extra. This was about a massive news story in October, which took place in India. But apparently it was not big enough, that news story, to be still of interest now. Russell Brand's wedding. Talk about Russell Brand's wedding. Russell Brand's wedding. They're all going to Russell Brand's wedding. Noel Gallagher, Rihanna and David Baddiel. Russell, don't you have to pinch yourself just to check that it's real? Katy Perry rides in on an elephant's back. Don't you ever wonder if you might still be on smack? Russell Brand's wedding. You talk about Russell Brand's wedding. So compelling. We all read about Russell Brand's wedding because we're detritus blowing through the final human age. Because we're dirty stains on history's final page. And if a comet came and killed the lot of us, in the scheme of things, it would be no great loss. Jonathan Ross. Russell Brand's wedding. Russell Brand's wedding. Katy Perry. Ceremonial bedding in the Indian jungle clearing. P. Diddy is rapping in the Indian jungle clearing. David Baddiel is clapping. They were married by a kind old Hindu. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Hindu. As the sun sinks on the Indian day, as the last Indian tiger slinks away, David Baddiel sinks into his Indian bed. He knows that Russell Brand and Katy Perry are wed. Nick Pin on everything. The octopus of sound.
Now, Kevin Eldon, you're you're a face that
Not just a face, am I?
No, more than a face. Your whole body and face
Yeah.
is. No one that's watched lots of British comedy in the last 20 years could fail to recognise it. But it's only in the last couple of years, well, in last year really, you've started doing your own act again.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It was only laziness that was stopping me. I was a lazy, vain, arrogant man, just lying around at home on cushions, thinking I'll just do the same 15 minutes for the rest of my life.
And then doing like bits of acting and things, and then you know,
Doing some
going back to
acting
that.
and speaking in stupid voices.
Good evening, I am a fictional man from the north of England. That's right, with fictional tales from and about the north of England. It's a simple enough premise, go along with it. So anyway, the other day I was walking my dog, Champion Wonder Horse, through the derelict shopping mall, taking him for his afternoon constitutional, when suddenly out of an old abandoned spudger-like burst Harold Melvin and Blue Notes, Smokey Robinson at Miracles, and Diana Ross and Wood at Supremes. Well, the other one were at home, you see, waiting for a boiler to be fixed. She'd only had it installed 6 months ago and it already had a faulty flow control valve. Well, I could have told her you should have gone German, otherwise it's a false economy. It's Bosch or Dosh in my boiler book. She wouldn't have listened to me, she's a snooty cow. Anyway, back to the abandoned shopping mall, and there I was, and there were all these Motown stars from yesteryear, yeah? All doing the slickly choreographed routines they're so justly famous for. But as they approached me, they started undermining my confidence, criticising my footwear. Brogues, they're an old man's shoe. Ow! Yeah. But as they got nearer, they started pointing out mutually contradictory ethical standpoints that I'd taken. Oh, you won't buy Nestle products, but you'll fly in an aeroplane. It's a dichotomy. And I was that upset being rumbled that I ran all the way home. But when I got home, I did not fill out a Pools coupon. I did not burn the roof of my mouth with the portion of Lancashire hot pot. I did not even stick my feet in a bowl of hot Dettol. No, I ran upstairs and fell into an uneasy slumber and had a disquieting dream about Freddie Truman. But there you go. That's life for the north of England, isn't it? It's enough to make a camel do the rumbaba and barbara ran. Another time, right, I was down the Gridlington Arms having a lovely pint of Sodden Tussock. Sodden Tussock! Yes, that's a lovely fictional Yorkshire bitter which we fictional northern men drink. Yeah, not like you real red button pushing bastards with your lager. Lager, you do that stuff for favour by turning it into piss. Anyway, there I was, right? And I was talking to my pal, Harry Peasbury, who incidentally is a real man. He doesn't exist. We get on very well, sometimes opposite attract. Anyway, you know Harry Peasbury, he's married to that woman, the one with the face, the one that sits down, the one that stands up, the one that goes along, the one that eats beans, the one that pharmaceutically created the Ebola virus out of sheer boredom. And then suddenly, I noticed that in my conversation, all the adverbs were physically manifested themselves as trapeziums. Oh, I was that embarrassed, I didn't know where to hide my face. I tried the Breville toaster, but they found it in 3 minutes. Flat. Thank you. Anyway, the landlord, right, the landlord was going, Stanley, that's my name, Stanley Dewthorpe. How can it be? You're a fictional man. I don't dispute the fact that I'm a fictional man. However, fictional men can have names. I refer you to the Scarlet Pimpernel. Fair enough. Can I continue? Yes, you can. Thank you. And I'm being sarcastic. Anyway, he said, Stanley. He said, I can see you're embarrassed. He said, it's just that Tony Barrows was here yesterday. And all these adjectives were sneaking around nicking people's bald scratches when they were looking. He said, whatever next? Arthur Big Stone's indefinite articles opening a nail shop on the high street. I had to laugh, I had to, oh, kill me. Anyway, that's life of the north of England, isn't it? It's one thing after another which has been preceded by something, which itself has been preceded by something, which itself has been preceded by something, going back at least 13.7 billion years. And if you're a proponent of the Big Bounce theory, onwards backwards through an infinitely regressing series of eternally expanded and contracted universes, Moon River. Anyway, the thing that really takes the black pudding home, right, in the fancy bag made out of recyclable material, decorated with flowers, owned by a flamboyant window dresser who wears a purple cravat and owns a cat called Lady Gaga, has got a face looks like it's been squashed in a vice, is when I found this dead wasp, right, in an empty crisp packet, I think of a clog and mill flavour, and it was at the bottom of the traffic lights, corner of Exington Road and Oblington Avenue, you know, where Tommy Garter's Aunt Fifi got killed by that barrel of Piccadilly. When I got home, I found that my wife had run off with the ghost of German Shakespeare, Wolfgang Goethe. Or is it Goethe? Goethe.
I'm going to try and keep up the drive that having an Edinburgh show to do made me have.
Yeah.
So, and keep writing. Right. Because I don't want to go back to the old lazy Hamilton days of just getting a line out every few months. It's rubbish, isn't it? Because you never stop working, do you? You're always thinking, aren't you?
God, bloody.
You're thinking now, are you thinking of something to say about something?
About that. I'm going to do something about
about that.
About this.
Yeah, and then you'll do 5 minutes of how you thought of that.
I know. Yeah.
And then it.
Yeah. All right.
Now, so the river of content flows on and approaches its final destination. One more turn left. Now, you probably don't know this, right? Some of you might, but we're on the borders of Hackney, and Hackney's the last London outpost of all sorts of free improvised experimental jazz music gigs. And I'm absolutely delighted to be able to welcome the next two people I've seen lots of times in all sorts of combinations, and it's a great honour that they be here tonight. Will you please welcome Gail Brand on the trombone and Mark Sanders on the drums.
People seeing this probably won't have seen music like this on the telly before. I think sometimes when people see for improvised music. There's a sort of panic. If they've never seen anything like it before, they think they're worried that the people don't actually know what they're doing at all, you know. But in a way, it's the most natural music in the world, isn't it?
I was going to say, there's nothing new about people picking up an instrument and just playing whatever it is, whatever they like. I mean, jazz has always relied on, you know, straight ahead jazz has relied on people making things up in the moment.
Yeah.
And going with how they feel. It's just that people are more used to listening to tunes.
Yeah.
And I think what puts people off is the fact that they haven't got anything they can hang their hat off. They haven't got anything they can refer to.
Right.
Some people love the fact that improvised music provides that where we're going next kind of element. Some people are quite scared by. I've had people stand up and shout things.
Well, what's the most hostile reaction you get? I mean, I've been asking a lot of the comic staff.
Had a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid walk up to the stage while we're all playing and just look at us and go, "What are you doing?" That was the best. What are you doing?
That's like a child out of the mouths of children. Well, what are you doing? Yeah. It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a good question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been good, this, hasn't it, in the end? We've thought... ironically, the worst thing in it has been me.